Good afternoon, viewers of Ball Knowers. Welcome to the show again. As we open today, the Jets might once again make our day in giving us content as they have announced that they have fired their GM, Joe Douglas. Robbie, you have interesting views about this because you're the only Jet fan here.
God.
This is a common occurrence, it seems.
It is a common occurrence, and it's a common occurrence for all the wrong reasons. You know, the Jet. Let's go through a little bit of a history lesson first before I
All
go
right.
into my main point. The Jets have not made the playoffs in over a decade. They have the longest playoff drought streak in the league. They haven't done anything right in a very long time.
You know, the
And
Jets
what if
the Jets playoff drought lasts longer than the Great Depression.
it has? I know it's absurd. What? How close is it? Like,
I think they just passed it along with the Sabres.
yes, the Sabres. There's another good one, but we'll maybe go into Buffalo later today. But it's the same. It's like the way I put it, the Jets right now, they're like a roulette wheel, right? Those main giant roulette wheels. You put the ball in and you spin the wheel and you hope something sticks and you hit the jackpot at the end of the night. That's the Jets right now. They gambled with the Devontae Adams trade. They gambled with Aaron Rodgers. And nothing nothing has come together. They are a mess. They are like those people who leave the casino with no money. Leave with those 2-cent vouchers or whatever.
I have a joke about a certain radio host.
Let me finish this first. At the end of the day, the Jets, the flight for their season has been grounded by the government. Their season is wraps.
Woody Johnson.
Their season is wraps. Wrap like a Christmas present. I know I'm spitting bars right now, but that's not what we're going for. And I heard one of my favorite analysts, Dan Orlovsky, say very well 2 weeks ago. They are a mess. You don't know what to change. They've done the same thing and hope something gets better. They have failed. They are the benchmark for failure. You would think it's the Cleveland Browns, but no, not even the Cleveland Browns can describe this level of failure. The Browns have excuses of their own. I mean, they have a whole bunch of problems themselves. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's like those terrible sequels to like the remakes of movies now. Like you have the original Lion King. That's the Jets seasons from the early 2010s where after they made that AFC title run, AFC title game appearance run. Mm-hmm. And then they have like those new Lion Kings where it's the same story, but just as a remake. And it's the same freaking problem. They refuse to change. And it's driving me to a level of insanity that I've never felt in my life. This season's flight has been grounded. The season is done. The question now is, where do they go? And we know, well, they fired Joe Douglas. Honestly, he was probably going to leave at the end of the season anyway. And I'll give the flowers to Joe Douglas. I actually really like Joe Douglas and what he was doing. He had an idea. It just nothing could come together in the end. Some of his free agency moves were kind of suspect. But some of them really, really worked, especially the ones in like the middle of the tenure. Like, remember that draft? I mean, his drafting has been hit or miss. I will agree with that. It's been very hit or miss. But everyone will remember that one draft where we drafted Sauce, G-Dub, Jermaine Johnson, Breece Hall in the first 40 picks.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is insane.
Oh, and by the way, one of those picks was from Carolina. Thanks, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, he did repay the Jets in the end because he gave us Breece Hall. But now we don't use Breece Hall. Does it make sense? Absolutely not. The New York Jets way. The New York Jets way. I do not know where the Jets go from here. I have a weird feeling that they're going to blow it up again, but they can't do it because of the salary cap. So they're in they're in shambles. They're like a kid scrambling on finals week. They don't know what to do, and they're all panicking. This is a panic fire from Woody Johnson. It was inevitable. I think they actually kind of did it at the right time because you would rather get the search started now rather than wait till week 18. Because Douglas, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him at the end of the year. But Joe Douglas, I liked him as a GM. Whoever was before him was terrible. And then Joe Douglas came in. He was
Was it
able
Idzik? Was it Idzik?
No.
No, it's McCagnon.
Okay.
screw McCagnon.
Idzik was
Mike
before
McCagnon.
McCagnon.
Mike McCagnon, I hated this man. I hated him with a burning passion. But then I remember the first big move that Joe Douglas did was trade Jamal Adams. And I was really sad by that because I love Jamal Adams. I thought Jamal Adams was a really good player.
He was great.
But we traded him for 2 first-round picks, and that kind of saved our team. Joe Douglas made other moves that saved the team, but he also made a couple of moves that ruined the team financially. So I didn't agree with some of the motives for drafting some of the players we picked, but some of them have really, really worked. And one of my favorite picks, we're going to go back a couple of years to one of the first drafts of Joe Douglas. It was the year we took both Michael Carters. And we took Michael Carter II in the 5th round. And he started at nickel corner the first week, and he looked terrible. And I was like, why are we starting a 5th round pick in the secondary? This was before the Jets had all those decent corners that we don't even recognize at this point of the season. And Michael Carter II is now one of the highest paid nickel corners, and he has been for a reason. He's been so good. You have other later picks that have kind of worked, but at the end of the day, it's the Jets, the higher ups, is being frustrated. Mm-hmm. And for me, as someone who's watched this team since 2011, it's the same problem, and yet we refuse to acknowledge it.
I mean, I would say he's a pretty good evaluator of talent.
He
to
is.
An extent. Yeah.
His day one free agency moves have been pretty atrocious because we've done literally nothing. The only notable I remember the day. Ooh, this was a weird one. We'll go back to one of his first free agencies, and he signed DJ Reed to he was making nothing. Ooh. DJ Reed, and was an all-pro second team player, I think, last year, or something like that. And he was fantastic. He's making 12. He's going to leave at the end of the year, and I'm going to be really sad about that. But we'll draft the guy from Michigan, Will Johnson or whoever, or we draft a quarterback. Who the hell knows at this point? But we signed Corey Davis, who was good for a year, then retired. And we signed DJ Reed, who has been our second best corner behind Sauce Gardner. But Joe Douglas has done a lot of things right, and the higher ups, Woody Johnson, has not done a lot of things right, just the team's performance in recent seasons. So I don't know what they do. I'm not excited to join the war for Ben Johnson. I think everyone will be going for him if he does leave Detroit, which I think is very possible.
I can't believe he didn't leave last year.
Well, I think he's kind of saving himself now. But weird thought. This seems like a very Jets move. I have a weird feeling they're going to hire Cliff Kingsbury from Washington. He's had such a good year. You got to give the credit to Cliff Kingsbury.
Not recently. They've lost the last couple of games.
They have, but he's 7-3 with an offense that shouldn't be 7-3. Think about that for a second.
He's a snake oil salesman, Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
You're falling for it.
I know, but it's a very Jets move.
Hire. It is a very Jets move. I will say that.
At this rate, we're gonna actually. At this rate, Tampa Bay.
When they hired Adam Gase, it seemed like they would hire Mike McCarthy.
And he got fired a couple weeks before.
When they hired Adam Gase, I thought they were going to hire Mike McCarthy because that was the typical Jets move, and then they made even a bigger Jets move to hire Adam Gase.
That was pretty funny.
Which I couldn't believe they did even then.
I think. Sorry. Cliff Kingsbury, though, seems like a very Jets pick, and the GM would be Trent Baalke when he gets fired by Jacksonville.
I'm surprised he hasn't been fired.
Oh, God.
That's a very Jets move, getting Trent Baalke.
Wait, that's assuming he even gets fired from Jacksonville.
He's going to get fired from Jacksonville. They have to fire both of them. They have to do it. They've messed around with it for too long. They have to do it.
He's been around for so long. How can you even fire him at this point?
That's true. Good point. I mean, he's been okay, but this, it's a very Jets type. At this rate, we're going to hire Todd Bowles again once he gets fired from Tampa.
Oh, God.
That's a very, or we're going to hire Rex Ryan. Great shout.
Not for nothing. He had you guys in the AFC Championship.
Or Bill Belichick.
And he sucked afterwards.
Or Bill Belichick.
No, absolutely not. We don't need more older people running a football team. We do not need that.
I mean, you have an old person, Aaron Rodgers, running your team.
That is very true. I will agree with that.
You sound like Aaron Rodgers just right there.
No, so hold on. Do you want me to pull up some stats for you?
Oh, yeah, sure. What do we got here?
Hold on one second.
As you get them up. It's just I don't. It's just I can't even. It felt like Joe Douglas was there for a long time. It was 5 years. I think that sounds about right. And it's just
I'm like, well, the thing with Joe Douglas is that he made a bunch of good moves.
He made good
on paper.
moves.
On paper, he made good moves, and you'd get results from those individual players, but you didn't get synergy. You didn't get what you wanted out of the team because when those categories succeeded, the others failed.
Because he drafted both Sam Darnold and
Who?
No, that I think that was McCagnon.
That was McCagnon.
Yeah, McCagnon
We
drafted
traded
Darnold.
up to draft Sam Darnold.
Okay, so and Joe Douglas drafted Zach Wilson.
Yes, we did not trade up to draft.
If you can,
that wasn't even okay. Hear me out. The reason I'm actually glad we didn't draft Justin Fields because we would have ruined him just as much. Justin Fields would have been more fun.
Also, Justin Fields is not a quarterback that you're not tweaking over passing on Justin Fields because Justin Fields, he's shown at times that he can be adequate.
If you build, you have a offense like a certain offense around him.
Yeah, but the Jets aren't known at all for making adequate systems for young quarterbacks to succeed in. We've seen it a million times.
Mark Sanchez.
Well, yeah, Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, they also had a staunch defense.
Yeah.
That's dude.
And a running game.
Prime Revis Island.
And a good running game.
Prime Revis Island.
That was a fun team.
With AC
with Antonio Cromartie on the other side.
That was a fun team.
I know, and you had young Demario Davis.
I saw the Bart Scott interview
Bart Scott. Oh my god, y'all don't know about Bart Scott.
That is still the greatest post game interview of all time.
Oh my god, yes.
At Richard Sherman after the
2013
NFC Championship.
No, Bart Scott's above that.
Well, Bart Scott has a great bite. The can't wait is a great bite.
Yes.
But
poetic justice. And we talk about defense. We were a good team. We were a good football team. They were 25th in the league. They couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Oh my god! I mean, I'm
sorry, dude, but Richard Sherman, I'm the best corner in the game. You try me with a star receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're gonna get. Don't you ever talk about me. Dude, that was also. How can we forget Phil Simms? I'm going to Disney World. How can we forget that?
That's a good soundbite.
Yeah,
but Bart Scott came into the interview flying around with the jet. He came into that interview that in the best way.
God.
It is the best.
Saying, in terms of post-game sideline interviews, I just think there's been better.
Yeah, it's a tough one, I mean,
what were the stats you were looking up?
We are gonna look at win percentages.
Oh,
okay. So we're gonna go. So 2 years ago, for those
I saw this on your story.
Hold on, but I'll bring this up first.
Oh yeah, you were talking about this.
The only thing that, for those who've watched me for a very long time, that I defended Zach Wilson. No, this is on when I was here.
Oh, yeah, here.
When we did Into the Stands, y'all know I defended Zach Wilson for a very long time.
Zach Wilson jersey.
I do. Yes, I was gonna wear it today, but
for some reason, you just died on that hill.
No, and I died on that hill for a very long time. And I said it. We should prioritize re-signing Quinnen Williams over Aaron Rodgers. We do have that clip, but I can't find it.
I mean, yeah, I could find.
Now it was from 2 years ago, by the way.
It's hard to find VODs from 2 years ago.
I know. So here's the stat that we're pulling up today. We are going over win percentages as New York Jets quarterbacks. So we're going to go up New York Jets starting QB's win percentage. Just for reference, the lowest one that I could find that has played a minimum amount of games is Aaron Rodgers. Yes, chat. It is. I believe it's.
Wait, say that again.
I believe it's Aaron Rodgers. I do believe it is him.
Who's played the minimum games?
Oh my god, this is brilliant.
The only quarterback in the last 20 years to have a win percentage that's competent is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Do you want to know what the number is, chat? Are we ready? Are we ready to hear this win percentage?
It's below 500.
Yes, it is.
It's still below 500.
Because half of these people don't qualify for playing in the games.
What about Josh McCown? He had a
no. Mark Sanchez counts. He has a 532.
Yep, Mark Sanchez. He won games for you. Mark Sanchez.
He won games. Yeah.
Mark Sanchez had a 532. The next qualified one, Greg McElroy didn't play enough.
Greg McElroy.
That
oh my
sounds
God.
like the name of a golfer.
It is a golfer.
because
Rory
of Rory
McIlroy.
because of
Rory
Rory
McIlroy.
McIlroy.
Greg
Because of
McElroy.
Rory McIlroy.
Greg
but-
McElroy, ESPN analyst. Shout out to you. Love your takes, by the way. Love him. But the next qualified one would be Ryan Fitzpatrick at a 467.
Close enough.
That is absurd.
Jeez, man. Aaron Rodgers having the worst win percentage.
One of the worst ones.
He's only played one season though so far.
But
He's played one, but that one season he was expected to take the team to greater heights, to take the team where Zach Wilson couldn't.
But this
And he ended up falling off at the same exact time because who'd have thunk that a 40-year-old who doesn't believe in modern medicine wouldn't really return very well off a torn Achilles.
I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't have thought of that one. Whoa. Like, unbelievable.
he needs John Tavares' amulet.
Oh my God. That's a good one. I like that joke.
He needs John Tavares'
But
amulet.
the Jets are 3-8 this week.
Disaster.
We can all praise the heavens this week because the Jets don't play. So
Dude,
don't-
hit
Hit the sound effect. Hit the sound effect. The Jets don't play this
The
week.
applause.
W's in the chat. Hit the air horn, please. Go on. We don't play.
I mean,
this
that's
week.
what I was. That's what we were doing when the Giants didn't play this week.
Oh
Dude,
my
but
God.
I loved my bye week.
I
loved my bye week so much.
I wish you fired Brian Dable.
Like,
I mean, let's go over to your
Okay,
bye week. Let's go to your
okay,
bye
yeah.
week. Hold on, because your bye week is pretty
stuff
significant as
happened.
well.
Stuff happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is my pleasure to say here that the Daniel Jones era is finally over in New York.
I
Or
would say-
I would
Almost
say
done. Almost
we
done.
have the return of Tommy Cutlets.
Dude, I swear to God, if he ruins our tank again, I swear. Last year,
You
it was a fun novelty.
Should've
Last
played
year,
Drew
it
a
was
lot.
fun.
Yeah.
But this year, he has one job and one job only: to command this tank and just drill to the bottom of the NFL we can get the #1 overall pick to draft Cam Ward out of Miami. That is the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
I do have a proposition for you.
What?
Do you want to beat the Cowboys?
I don't care. Dude, I've dealt with losing to the Cowboys. I can handle losing to the Cowboys. I can handle losing to the Cowboys one more time. So it ensures that we get a quarterback who can actually throw the football
what if-
more than 20 yards. Dude, I don't care. I don't care about this instant dopamine hits. I've had the instant dopamine hits, and I know that they kill us over the long run because we end up getting stuck with terrible quarterbacks.
But what if Tommy DeVito?
You want to talk about a team with terrible quarterbacks?
Yeah. I know. You're a Jets fan. I know, but we just went over how terrible the Jets quarterbacks are.
What if
I'm talking about my terrible quarterback?
What if Tommy DeVito turns out to be him though?
If Tommy DeVito turns
Isn't he a
out to
free
be
agent at the end of the year?
no, he's not going to be him. He's gonna, if anything, he'll have a couple of Fugazi weeks. You know, if anything, the time to see what we had in Tommy DeVito was like week 4.
I mean, yeah, that is
or
true.
like week 5 or something. Just they should have benched Daniel Jones from the get-go. He shouldn't have been part of their plan if they had any hope of winning. And if their plan was to just get rid of Daniel Jones anyway and not trigger that injury clause, then they should have just benched Daniel Jones super duper early into the season after week 2 and then started Tommy DeVito and then gave him some run.
But see, week 2, Daniel Jones actually played a pretty good game.
No, there was no Daniel Jones played well maybe like 3 times this year. Maybe 3. You had the game against Cleveland where he played really well in the first half and then just vanished in the second half. You had the game against Seattle, and that's it. I can't think of any other game where Daniel Jones played well.
I just got some breaking news from hockey, but we can continue.
But like, the time, if you really thought that Tommy DeVito could have provided something for your team, then you should have seen what you had in him while your season was still alive. Not when you're 2-8 and dead in the water and looking for a draft pick where the last thing you need for organizationally in the future is somebody who can bring in a spark plug and win you a few games and win you out of a good draft position to take a franchise quarterback potentially.
It's a weird situation.
And we're talking about Brian Dable. I have been on this wagon forever. Like, I'm open to the idea of a regime change. I'm not completely opposed to it, but
I am.
I think I'm mostly opposed to it. I'd open my mind only if it's to poach the guys from the Lions. Only if the Ben Johnson is the only guy I'm willing to hire over Brian Daboll as head coach, because Daboll coached a Daniel Jones-led team to the playoffs and won a playoff game with Daniel Jones. So that should tell you anything that you need to know about Brian Daboll's coaching ability. And he schemes guys open. He calls good plays. There are receivers who run. Like, how many times have we seen? How many clips on Twitter have we seen of receivers running wide open with nothing but green ahead of them, and Daniel Jones just missing them or not even looking their way? This offense, this season, don't get it twisted, it is all on Daniel Jones. And I guarantee if you get a good quarterback back there, I think this Giant team could make a run at the playoffs. I am being so serious when I say that.
Yeah.
Because you have, on offense, you got everything else. You got an adequate offensive line. You've got really good receivers. I don't care what anybody says. Dude, Malik Neighbors is going to be a top 10 receiver. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, who's pretty good in the slot.
I like Robinson.
As a slot.
Yeah, Wan'Dale
You have
Robinson.
one starting caliber receiver that would be on a contender right
Well, for some reason, they hate Jalen Hyatt for some reason.
Yeah,
now.
they hate Jalen
For
Hyatt
some reason.
for
I
some
don't know
reason.
why.
Well, Daniel Jones can't maximize. Remember when Tommy DeVito started last year, Jalen Hyatt had over 100 yards.
Yes.
Jalen Hyatt had a 100-yard game with Tommy DeVito as a starter. So just a little food for thought.
Oh, Rip Ovi, he's week to week.
Oh yeah. He's hurt.
That was the news that you wanted to talk about?
No. There was.
I just got like 30 people tweeted it to me. But the one thing I gotta bring up here is which quarterback do you have would win you less games? Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock? I love this. This is a question I brought to my friends last night, and no one had an answer.
Oh, this is tough.
Because I
Like,
thought
Tommy DeVito, maybe it's just a financial move, because there's no reason for fans to be interested in going to games now. Tommy DeVito, he's a little bit of a gimmick. He'll do the
that's his agent. His agent is the gimmick.
Yeah, Tommy DeVito in general is a gimmick. His family's a gimmick. The whole idea, the brand of Tommy DeVito is that he's a gimmick and he plays really well to the surrounding area, which has a lot of Italian Americans. I'll say, as an Italian American myself, I loved me some Tommy DeVito last year. But when I learned the consequences of it, and I see Jaden Daniels turning the franchise around in Washington, I thought we wouldn't have to worry about them ever again.
What, you don't like Malik Neighbors?
I really like Malik Neighbors.
But you don't like. It sounds like you don't want Malik Neighbors on your team.
Dude, I love Malik Neighbors. I love Malik Neighbors. Don't get it twisted. I love Malik Neighbors.
That's
he's
what
a
you're
great
saying
player.
right now.
He's a great player.
Saying.
I know what you're trying to do right now. I'm not falling for it. But I love Malik Neighbors. He's a great player, but I think Jaden Daniels would have had this team winning more games, and we would have felt better about the trajectory of this, right? We would have felt better. We would have felt better about the trajectory of this franchise if we had Jaden Daniels under center.
But we still had Daniel Jones still in the contract.
Dude, you think we would have? Would we have? Dude,
you can't get out of that contract.
We can get out of that this year.
We get out after this year. They structured the contract that way when it was signed, because it was a move. It was a move.
Joe Shane knew.
We knew. Everybody knows that the decision to re-sign Daniel Jones was pushed full send by John Mara.
Not that I don't think it was unwarranted because of the season he had.
But he had a good season.
He had a good season.
If he kept being that guy and progressed, I had no problem with that contract. But
the Jets intern GM is the guy who tanked the Browns. He's Phil Savage is the interim GM from the Jets.
That's a Browns GM. I've never heard of it. When you talk about the guy who tanked the Browns, there's I believe he was the guy.
I believe this was the dude when the Browns were 0-16. Can we fact check that, please?
I think it was.
Yeah, he was.
Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Sashi Brown.
I think it was.
It was one of them. That's what I thought, because they gave a terrible fiction. This is okay. Who was this? Schefter brother? What is this photo, brother?
Yeah, Sashi Brown was 0-16.
What year was Phil Savage then?
All right, hold on.
Yeah, because I've never. I know he's a former general manager of the Browns. That's all I know.
That's not a very good thing to put
Yeah,
on your
because it
resume.
says the Jets have named former Browns general manager Phil Savage as their interim GM. He's probably going to be GM at the end of for a while, isn't he? What year we got? Concerning that we're scrolling this far. I mean, I guess like 2000 at this rate.
He was the last GM of the Arizona Hotshots in 2019.
The Arizona Hotshots of the what?
Of the American Football franchise.
Oh, is that the AAF?
Probably,
The
yeah.
AAF. Wow, that I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yep.
Long time.
When was he general manager of the Browns?
He was not general manager of the Browns.
He was an executive.
He's executive
on the Browns.
Oh, so GM of the Browns.
No, he was
executive of essentially. Okay, what year was that? What year was it? I'll stop arguing.
the 90s.
What?
What? Really?
Yeah, I don't.
What?
that.
90s. That's
What the hell?
okay.
Nah. That's gotta be a joke.
As an administrator.
As an admin, yeah.
Cleveland Browns senior vice president and general manager 05 to 08.
Okay, there we go.
Geez.
Okay, there we go. I couldn't see.
What was the record of those teams?
That was
Let's
the
go.
Derek Anderson 10-6 year.
Oh, that's right, Derek Anderson. I that's a name. That's a name.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's impressive,
That's
right?
a name.
A Pro Bowler, Derek Anderson.
Oh god,
Yeah, I know, right? Impressive.
I know. It's.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself for pulling that one out.
I think a lot of people.
The
would be.
ball knowledge right there.
The ball
So
knowledge.
we're looking from 05 to 08.
Comment if you want to play. You want us to play more games and trying to test our ball knowledge in the comments. I actually would be down for that. Like later on in the second half of the year. What do we got?
So
Derek Anderson was quarterback for a brief bit.
they also had Trent Dilfer as their passer.
What?
In this period?
Dilfer. Super Bowl champion Trent Dilfer. Super Bowl champion Trent Dilfer.
Super Bowl champion, you know.
I know far too much about the 2000 Ravens because my team was part of
How
the.
many? Okay, dead.
They
shit.
had like 24 wins in that period.
What was
It was 6-10, 4-12, 10-6, 4-12.
Oh my god, they're like the Giants. Like seriously,
What we had 10.
We are
When
the-
did we get 10 wins?
the playoff season.
We had 9.
Yeah, we had 9.
Close enough.
What-
Oh,
we-
yeah, we had the 10th win in the playoff game, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you really
You
want
won double-digit games in a season. We are the New York Giants. Cool. We have.
God.
I'm to be fair, at least we have more than one.
You gotta
star.
specify which
We
Giants.
are
Yeah.
the New York Giants, but worse. Cool.
What specific Giants?
I mean, we have the same record, better roster, and a proposal of a defense. We are MetLife Stadium. We have all this pedigree and like we're hosting all these incredible things, yet we fall apart because of the field. Or
Yep.
we make excuses.
just
to come.
suck.
Did I?
Or we
I
just
can't
suck.
wait.
We're just bad.
We just
I
suck.
can't wait until FIFA forces them to put in like real grass.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, that's coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
yeah, dude. The World
Welcome to
Cup's only
the
coming up in
welcome
a
to the
couple years.
Club World Cup 2025, where the final will be hosted at the suspect-looking MetLife Stadium
Oh,
in July.
dude, you talk about all the places in the world that have hosted a World Cup final.
This
You
is the
talk
club.
about-
This is the Club World Cup. Though. So
Yeah,
it's like the small.
Yeah, I know the Club World Cup, but the actual World Cup final is going to be hosted.
And they picked MetLife because James Dillon did not want the Riverside Stadium,
Oh my god!
Mhm.
West Side Stadium.
It was never going there though. It has to have like a minimum capacity. Westside Stadium doesn't qualify.
Yeah.
It was
I
going to
know.
be, I believe.
Well,
that-
no, when the Jets wanted to build their stadium at West
Oh
Side,
yeah.
because James Dillon did not want it there, taking stuff away from MSG.
God, dude, James Dolan.
All right.
I share a last name with them.
All right. Are we ready to hear some of the stadiums that have hosted a World Cup final in their capacity?
Yeah, so
How's-
or the cities.
Okay.
The cities. Name the
the
cities.
cities. That works too. All right. The opening one was in Uruguay because that's where FIFA was at this point, in Montevideo, which is like the center of Uruguay.
Mhm.
I forgot how the stadium that's not even there anymore.
You got Rio.
Rome, Paris, Rio, Switzerland. I forgot.
Bern, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Bern, Switzerland, at a stadium that was the world.
I assume it's
in
a
50
I assume it's a beautiful city because
Yeah.
that entire region of the world is like the North Pole.
By the way,
at
West
Christmas time.
West Germany won that World Cup. just for reference.
West
Germany. Dude, West Germany had a really good soccer team back when they were split in half.
Santiago, Chile, Sweden, when Brazil actually beat the Swedes in the final. London, Mexico City, Munich, Buenos Aires, Argentina, when Argentina won in 78. Madrid, Rome again, Pasadena, California.
The Rose Bowl?
That was the Rose Bowl in
I want to see that. I want to see that
in
stadium.
94 when the Italians lost on penalties to Brazil. Terrible final, by the way. I've watched that one back.
Brazil and Italy actually getting to the
then we went to France again, and then we went to Japan. In Yokohama, when Brazil beat Germany in the final. Then we went to Berlin, South Africa, which was a phenomenal World Cup.
That was a great World Cup.
One of the most underrated World Cups ever. Spain beat Netherlands in the final. That's one of the first World Cup games I've ever watched in my life. Then we went to Rio again, Russia, Qatar, and now New Jersey.
East Rutherford, among all those global landmarks, those amazing, beautiful European cities rich with culture and history and everything, just a legacy behind it. And then East Rutherford, New Jersey, among all of the other amazing wonders of the world.
Oh, don't worry, it gets better.
East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Oh, don't worry, it gets better. So we're going to East Rutherford.
Do we know who's hosting it in 2030?
Yes, we will. Kinda. It's like, okay, so 2030 World Cup. The hosting was kind of rigged because the FIFA wanted to host it in 3 continents.
Yeah.
Why? We are going to. Let me find the 2030 World Cup.
Oh, God.
I know we're going to Morocco. I know Morocco is part of this. They are the 8th Africa hosts.
That's cool.
Because we're going to Saudi Arabia in 2034.
I could
Which,
think
to
of
be
a
fair,
few reasons why.
I'm surprised they haven't done it already.
I'm surprised. Well, I mean, they did it in Qatar.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Here are the countries. We have merging bids from Morocco, Portugal, and Spain.
That would be beautiful. I would love a World Cup to be there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Morocco, like Portugal, beautiful country. Beautiful. Like, I mean, I've never been there, but I've seen pictures.
It gets better.
Like the oceans there.
It gets so much better.
That's a good World Cup host, actually.
We are combining it with South America.
Okay.
Why?
We are going.
That's a whole ocean.
We are going to.
How do you expect them to get there?
Planes.
I mean, yeah,
of course, planes, but these got the jet lag.
I think you're gonna like some of the first half of the group stage is gonna be in South America, and then we're gonna go to Morocco. I don't freaking know. We're going to Paraguay.
What?
I know it gets better. That's the worst team there. I'll be the worst team there. Mixed with Argentina and Uruguay.
Okay. Argentina and Uruguay. That's fine.
But we are going to a stadium called the New National Stadium in English. That's how you say it in English. That's what it's called. The New
Is it
National.
Going to hold 150,000 people?
No. Oh no, it's only 48,000.
Why? It's the World Cup.
Well, no. Have you seen the stadium sizes for the ones in Canada for the World Cup? It's not even 40,000.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's why they're
because we don't want to go to Vancouver.
That's why they're barely playing any games there.
So yeah, we're going to Buenos Aires.
Why aren't they just playing games at the Rogers the Blue Jays Stadium?
That's not a FIFA regulated stadium.
You probably have to go to the other CFL stadiums.
We're not playing in a baseball stadium. Come on.
NYCFC plays in Yankee Stadium, no problem.
And Citi Field.
Oh, by the way,
Citi Field.
You guys have no idea how many problems there are with that. You have no idea how many problems there are.
Yeah, but they won.
Oh, they did. But the final, what's the final? I don't even remember if the final.
I mean, they're building their own stadium. They are building their own stadium next to Citi Field. NYCFC.
Yeah.
They play games there.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
So we're going to 20 stadiums in six countries. World Cup 2030, and then we're going to Saudi Arabia in 2034.
Okay.
How fun.
I'm shocked that Saudi Arabia didn't pop up sooner.
I'm surprised by that too.
Why do you think they applied in 2034? Why do you think? Oh, wait, you guys don't know the rules for this. So you cannot
Yeah,
host.
Robbie's the
okay,
soccer
so
expert.
so some
Robbie.
continents you cannot host like you have to host like
I
one
just
in
said Robbie and soccer at the same time. You said Rocky.
rock. Nice, well in. You like I think it's something where you can't host like you can host a World Cup. Your confederation can host a World Cup, and then you have to wait like 3 more cycles, and then you can do it again, and then you have to like bid for it. So because they combine 3 confederations into one. The only 2 that are left are Oceania and Asia. Because
do a World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. That
no.
would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
Absolutely not.
Dude, I'm talking about the region. Dude.
11 p.m. games.
11 p.m. Hey,
The final would be at 2 a.m. Eastern time.
I don't have a sleep schedule.
You think the
I
rest
could
of the
make
world?
that.
No, the rest of the world does. No, they're not going to
Are you
Australia.
Please do.
are you
People aren't-
Robbie? Are you dedicated then?
Yes, no, I am. I would watch games at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
but
we're dedicated.
yeah, but I haven't.
sports
We'll be
watchers.
working. We'll be doing work for other stuff. I might honestly.
yeah.
I could maybe be broadcasting a World Cup. Who the hell knows? But so 2034, it was either Saudi Arabia or New Zealand. I think we know what we're going with here.
Saudi Arabia.
We're going with the big stadiums. Also
the big stadiums and the
also-
oil money.
Saudi
Yes.
Arabia stadiums. I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of gorgeous. I'll be honest with you. They are.
Dude, there are some places in Saudi Arabia that are breathtaking.
They are. And so I wasn't like that disappointed when they're hosting. I mean, it's so the Oil Money League will be hosting the World Cup in 2034. How exciting! I know they rejected a bid from this is okay. So do we want to read what FIFA wrote, what Wikipedia wrote on the FIFA decision to host everything in 3 continents?
Sure. Do we have
Real
enough time?
real quick, and then we'll go to the other talk for the rest of the day.
But
no,
what about the Iona soccer?
We
game?
can-
we're
we'll
going
end
to
up
that
on that.
next. We're going to that next.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a good
Um,
segue.
Because I got a couple things for.
Former FIFA
Yeah.
president Sepp Blatter, before he got canned, warned that the number of hosts for the 2030 World Cup would cause the tournament to lose its identity. Others noted that with the FIFA rotation system, with CONCACAF, which is North America, hosting this World Cup, UEFA, which is Europe, Africa, and CONMEBOL, which is in South America, would be unable to bid, leaving the 2034 bid only open to the AFC and Oceania, which you know what the problems are. If you know anything about Oceania, there's no big stadiums anywhere. Like I'm serious. I watched a lot of Oceania games this week.
Yeah.
It's the international window. You got to watch the Oceania.
If I didn't know better about you, I'd just assume that you
made up these places.
that you had like parlays on all these games. I would assume that you had a massive problem.
He said this to me on Sunday.
I say this to you every time you bring up obscure soccer.
So Saudi Arabia basically ran unopposed because they're not putting a World Cup in Australia.
Yeah.
So Saudi Arabia, congratulations on the 2034 World Cup bid. But speaking of soccer, this
past
Iona
weekend.
Gales.
Oh, a legendary game. I mean, by Iona standards, just a legendary
Mac
moment.
champions.
What a moment! I am so I worked the camera for the volleyball game the day before. It's like I was weighing my options on what game I wanted to work that weekend.
Actually, no, we had enough camera people.
We had enough. Oh yeah,
I thought about working the game on Sunday because I'm like, you know what? It's a championship game, but then I'm like, no, I want to experience that as a fan.
Yep.
And I got there like at around the 20th minute, and I didn't know that Mazzella could get that loud. And that
Were you not there for the semifinal?
No, I wasn't.
You were there for the semifinal, yes?
I think I did the game against Maris, right?
Yes. That crowd was loud.
I guess, yeah.
So we
but
we'll break down the game in a
final,
moment.
It was just I just want to talk about the environment there.
Yeah.
It was miraculous, wasn't it? It was
there
something.
may have, I don't know how many people were there. It maybe like pushed like 800 to 1,000, like that. It sounded like that.
Yeah.
Like it was just
That's just one half. And that's
incredible.
just one half of the stadium of
Yeah.
the field.
Because for those who
Yeah.
don't know, Mazzella Field is very small.
It is.
So for
There's not a lot of
what
seating.
viewing capacity.
Well, there were people watching. I didn't sit in the stands for the game because I went by myself, and I was standing. I standed on the La Penta Terrace for the first half and for a decent chunk of the second half, because in the second half, that's where Iona was
No,
shooting.
no, what I wish we
Then
had.
the sun got in my eyes.
Yeah.
Then
before the sun got in your
sun got in your eyes. That was his
I had to deal with that.
That was his.
As I was working the camera the entire game.
wear a hat, bro. That's what I did. That's what I did when I.
How did you wear a hat? His hair is too long for a hat, I believe.
What I did was I just went underneath the camera, basically.
And he still did really good.
Dude, you got some great shots in that game, dude. But you've got a knack for that role, dude. I am being so serious.
I was
so
working
serious.
cameras for the ESPN production,
and I was doing graphics.
And you were doing graphics, yes.
I didn't bottle the graphics. We went semi-viral on Friday.
Oh my god.
We'll talk about that in a minute. No, so back to Sunday. I'll word it like this, and this is because we were in the truck. We were all like doing mini commentary in the game in the truck because that game, the first I'd say 75 minutes would put you to sleep. The end, I'd say the first hour put you to sleep. The rest of the game was the greatest thing of all time. Like there was countless goal line clearances.
I feel like we kind of dominated that second half.
We kind of did. Ryder definitely had the first half.
Ryder had the first half, but then we had the two chances cleared off the line.
I say they dominated, but it never really felt like they had a real good chance to score.
There was one shot on goal in the first half.
I can't believe that. I couldn't believe that one save that the Ryder goalie had at the goal line. I couldn't believe that.
So there was one.
I thought that would, especially with the two close opportunities, the goal line save that I could swear, like I was standing on the La Penta Terrace. I had a better view than you two here.
Well, I had zoomed in cameras.
We had the perfect angle on it. It was not in. It was not in.
Okay,
it was near.
Like, it was from my angle in real time. It looked in.
Yeah.
But
also, I was like, I didn't see it go in. Like, how did that not go in?
So it was some of the saves, and I gotta give full credit because Adam Salama, the goalkeeper from Ryder, I think
he stood on his head.
Yeah, I think
amazing performance.
He's the best goalkeeper in the MAC. He won the Golden Glove for a reason.
It took a stupid bounce off of the defender's head to beat him, basically.
Yeah. But last year, he conceded one goal in the final. So in the last two finals, in 185 minutes, he conceded essentially a free kick from Thiago, and then he conceded that goal at the end.
Yeah,
that's it.
Which wasn't even his fault.
Which was not his fault. And you got to give credit to Iona's resiliency because they had the red card in the 88th minute.
Speaking of resiliency,
that's right.
Batista Rossi left towards the beginning of that game with an injury and then came back at the end.
That's right. Yes. I give full credit to Batista Rossi.
He scored the winning goal.
One of the best stories, I think, in men's soccer this season. There have been some great stories, some great teams coming back from both men's and women's soccer, with Iona women's soccer making the playoffs, Canisius' rebound in women's soccer. But men's soccer, the big story this year had to have been Batista Rossi.
Oh, yeah. He had a great year.
8 goals entering the playoffs now, but Iona has the MAC Defender of the Year.
Timchenko.
And a third-string goalkeeper. No, great. So here's the narrative, and this was the narrative we were talking about in the truck. This team lost to Bryant and Stonehill back in September. And a lot of the guys I talked to from various schools thought Iona's season was wraps immediately, even before the league play started. Then they beat Ryder at home on a controversial penalty. Then they start winning again. And you see the consistency.
Didn't stop winning.
From Fernando Schmelz, who was great in goal up until his
injury. But then speaking of Giorgio, who stepped up.
We'll get to him in a second, but the resilience in the midfield with Thiago and Sergio Gonzalez Fernandez and Jad, like multiple other pieces stepping up. But the big thing that was a struggle was the goal scoring. And then Batista Rossi stepped in.
Just the answer presented itself
right
there. And the goal scoring, like especially the absence of Camilo Zan Ruiz from last year, who was just automatic.
Broke records.
Yeah, and now he's at NYCFC or
in the MLS next. He's in the academy team. But I want to go back to Bautista for a second because he can do a lot of things at the number 9 like that Camille was not able to do. He can track back when you need him to. He can push forward, press high. He does a lot of things right. Like if you remember last year's attack, the front 3 with Ali, Matthias, and Camille was absolutely disgusting. They could score, they can create, they can press as a triangle. They do everything right. Midfield, they had so many good players.
I was shocked when I found out that we lost to Ryder in the final.
Well, that Ryder team, remember, they were
that team was also really good.
They were headlined by the two Senegalese players of Momo Diop and Babacar Dieng, who I got to interview last year. Babacar Dieng, great guy. It was an incredible match last year, and the fact that it was able to be overcome. Oh, I can't speak English now, chat. It's overshadowed by the performance of Iona. Like there's some of that good old Mazzella magic being sprinkled onto the pitch in the 95th minute. We thought
I wasn't sure if they were going to win because they were the win card.
I had a feeling that they were winning that game.
So I had to say,
we were knocking for the entire final half hour of that game. It felt like we were knocking, and then you had the Rossi goal be called offside in the 88th minute, and then because as someone who was like on ground level, you could feel the tension building and building and building.
Yep.
I said for the entire last half hour of that game, this place is ready to explode. And there were multiple close chances where everyone there just wanted to lose it. And then when that errant header that went off the post, and then when Rossi tucked it and everyone just stormed the field. And I was watching from like a little bit outside the stands, but when Rossi scored that goal, I jumped up. I was close to the fence. I was jumping up. I was like, yeah, like I sprinted over and I made sure that I got on that field. And there were so many people. You had like frat bros. You had everybody. You had every little bit of the makeup of the Iona student body rushing that field and just losing it and crowding the whole team. Yeah, and everyone hugging players. It was an amazing thing to be a part of. And when I came to this school, when I made the decision to come here instead of going to a big, SEC school where I would have moments and opportunities to storm the field after a big football game, I genuinely didn't think I would have a chance to have a moment like that here. But when Battista Rossi scored that goal in overtime, I'm going to remember this forever.
Yep. That's the beauty of sports.
Like as a fan, being able to rush that field and be part of that mob of just elated fans. And like when you think about these players, like in the regular season, not a lot of people showed up. And then in the playoffs, more people showed up. But then in the final, you had people waving flags. You had chants. They did the "We Hate Tottenham" chant, but they swapped out Tottenham with Ryder.
That was so good. No, because
that was so awesome. Like I heard that, I was like, "Oh, dude, this is great, dude." The atmosphere.
I didn't like the one chant they were doing about related to a certain sport. This is what I hate. But I'm just, for me, who was doing the replay camera, I'm just glad I didn't mess up like a huge moment for them.
Oh yeah, there was a moment where that did get completely messed up, and there was a lot of criticism afterwards. The Battista interview. I don't know if y'all saw that.
What happened?
From who? Bautista was getting interviewed, and he got pulled out of the middle of an interview by a coach.
Oh,
it was like one of the weirdest moments we've ever seen. It was ridiculous.
Speaking of the coach, dude, their head coach did a great job.
Coach Hamilton. Let me talk about Coach Hamilton.
I had the chance to interview him.
No, so Coach Hamilton and I.
Let me talk about this. Let me talk about this because Hamilton and I broadcasted a ton of his games last year, and I've met so many different coaches here, from men's and women's soccer. We met the softball coach last year, women's lacrosse. I met Tobin Anderson. I met the women's basketball coach, their assistants, everything. The nicest coaches you will meet here is Hamilton. He is, in the middle of a match, the most involved coach here. One of them. There's a lot of the coaches here get very involved right away. They have energy. They do everything right. And that's what I love about this school. A lot of the coaches are right into it. Get involved.
Yep.
Have the energy. They're involved with the community too.
Hamilton, you want to talk about emotion? Hamilton had a red card suspension at one point this season.
Oh, wow.
He got a red card at the end of the match against Fairfield a couple of weeks ago.
But then he comes out and does all this incredible stuff, leads a team that on paper was not to the level of, I thought, Siena or Ryder in the middle of the season. But then you go out and you beat Ryder 1-0. You have the adversity of losing to Siena in Loudonville, which is a very tough environment, to then go on and win the MACs. And now, which another weird note, back-to-back years, a MAC team is facing
Vermont.
is going to Vermont in the first round.
Dude, I wish we. I'm just imagining if it were here. If it were here, that would have been you. If you thought the environment for the MAC final was crazy, I think that you would have never seen. I don't think you would ever see Mazzella get more packed, and I don't think Mazzella has ever been as packed as that game. You'd be hard pressed. I mean, I know we used to have a football team, but anyways, back to your point about the coaches being involved with the community, and I know that was kind of a like outside of Patino, but like we didn't really mind it with Patino because he had one job, and that was to make the basketball team a wagon, and he did.
He did.
Like, it's like
it's an incredible story that I think for
it's
all
a great story. I
Like,
mean, especially for us to have a core memory like that.
I'm just
amazing.
Just glad I was able to be a part of it, and also
the
fact I didn't mess up any of their filming the moment of like
Dude,
the biggest moment of
that.
their life, the biggest moment of their lives. I didn't mess it up for them.
I mean, to be fair, some of the camera people, we're not going to call out anyone, but they did mess up the VAR review. Like one of the camera angles was made it inconclusive. That's why the goal is disallowed with 2 minutes left. The only thing that you can determine to be conclusive was Jad's being sent off. That was it.
Yeah,
you cannot tell where the ball was. You couldn't see where the goal line was.
But you know what? It didn't matter.
It did, but it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter.
The only thing that's going to matter is that Jad can't play on Thursday. So you'll have probably, if you had to build a lineup, you'll have. I think you gotta go Giorgio in goal again.
Oh yeah,
you gotta
use the hot hand. Lucas,
hot hand.
Illyrid, Tim. This is me building tactics now. Emilio, who's been great at center back. He's a central midfielder playing center back, by the way. And he's putting on a clinic. And he's been
it's just a mission. The more I hear about this team, the more I love how much of a random. I didn't know that it was this much of a mishmash.
Yeah.
I thought it was still a
it was a lot of sophomores and freshmen.
Dino got hurt. Fedorovic, who was the starting center back with Tim. Then Jahim got hurt because he has the mask on. So they weren't starting him. I think they could start Jahim against Vermont. Vermont, very physical, very fast. They do a lot of things right. They're going to be just as they're very like Ryder. So it'll be a very Ryder-like match. I don't see more than 2 goals going in from anyone. But they'll start. I think they'll start Jaime on a fullback. He's been great. Jaime Roman Jr. I've loved what I've seen from him. Midfield, you got to go with Tiago and Sergio. They're the only 2 midfielders. They've created so much. I would have started Jad, but he's of course suspended. I want to see Alvaro in central midfield. I don't know how comfortable he would be there, but playing the role where Jad is, I think Alvaro can work out there. And then the front 3 of Rossi, Borla, and Ricardo. That lineup, I mean, when Sergio was out, they started Alvaro at central midfield, and I thought he looked pretty comfortable in central midfield. So you slide him back, and then you put in Francesco, who's been very physical, very tall, strong player out on the wing. I think that'd be fine. I think that could cause some problems, I think, for Vermont.
Yeah. I'm wishing them the best of luck.
Yes, best of luck. This is a great team, dude. Great group. I love this group.
Yeah.
But I think with like 7 minutes left until we're supposed to be off. But I'd like to end it off with some hockey news.
Hockey news. Yeah.
So on the last couple of games ago for the Rangers, Filipino had an injury, and we all feared the worst, that it was a concussion because he was taken out
again.
But earlier this morning, per Larry Brooks, he was told that he does not have a concussion and he will be joining the team in Calgary.
That's good. That's good to hear.
I'm thankful because I
want him as a person.
Him as a person who has suffered like a bunch of concussions already.
Yeah.
I just want him to be healthy, but also because he's playing really well.
I mean, yeah.
I want him to be healthy,
obviously.
but because tonight the Rangers are playing the Canucks.
What happened with the Canucks?
The Canucks, well, they just put out a statement. Vancouver Canucks general manager Patrick Elvine announced today that forward JT Miller will be taking an indefinite leave of absence from the team for personal reasons. Right now, our sole focus is making sure that JT knows the entire organization is here to support him, said Elvine. Out of respect to JT, we will have no further comment at this time.
It's a crazy situation.
Something that's fishy. That's
reason.
fishy. I'm gonna be real. I think that something happened.
And so now they're down. Now they're down JT Miller for God knows how long, and they're still waiting for Thatcher Demko to come back. They're third in the Pacific right now, hanging on to that spot. Or they're tied for third actually with Calgary and Edmonton and Seattle like right behind them.
They're hanging on for dear life
right now. We're already missing Thatcher Demko, who I definitely know because he's on my fantasy team.
God, dude, you haven't. You've never shut up about Thatcher Demko.
Thatcher Demko and every Red Wings goaltender. What is wrong with you? Why?
The Red Wings suck, man. The Red Wings suck. They lost to they gave up 5 goals to the Sharks last night.
Hold on, real quick. I just got this note. I think Cam. I know some of you voiced your displeasure on this. I believe on Sunday afternoon on Sports Grid. I think we got to talk about Friday night a little bit with Jake Paul. Because
oh God.
Okay. I think,
dude, I need somebody. I maintain the opinion that I put out on Sports Grid. I need to see a legit professional boxer call him out, and it would be a big fight. Oh, there'd be a lot of money.
The one time
in
he
it.
did fight an active fighter, he lost.
Tommy Fury didn't kick his ass though. I want to see someone full blown, just like I just need to see somebody drop him.
I did not.
That would be fun.
Ever since I was in middle school, dude. The Jake Paul lore goes deep.
Oh my God.
There are way too many people who just know Jake Paul as a boxer. I know Jake Paul. I know Jake Paul as the whiny YouTuber who made one of the worst music videos ever. And I have never been able to stand him.
It's every day, bro.
I've never been able to like his brother has gotten better. Like Logan.
No. He's not
champion, former U.S. champion Logan Paul.
And also crypto scammer.
Logan Paul.
But compared to his brother.
And don't forget what he did showing in Japan.
Oh God.
No, he has not gotten better. I have opinions about this.
It's a little slightly.
No, he's still the same person he was back then. Don't let him. He grew a beard and called it a character arc. Do not let him fool you.
I think though, if we go back to the fights themselves, I mean,
just a bad fight.
No,
dude,
but that fight was terrible.
You were expecting a good fight?
No,
I wasn't expecting.
You were expecting an adequate fight?
No,
out of that?
Absolutely not.
Nobody was expecting.
Anyone who expected it is a fool and should be and is glad that he gives money away.
I was hoping to see Mike Tyson just unleash whatever he had left into Jake Paul's face. That's all I wanted.
I mean,
that was what I had a very slim hope of that happening.
And I'm just glad I didn't see the fight because I could not care less. I didn't even know what was happening. And
also, Netflix did a god awful job.
Yeah, I'm scared when they start hosting live events
with Raw.
No, but they're hosting a football playoff game. Or hosting football games this year.
You know what this means? Never mind. I won't say anything.
You know what this means? This could go horribly wrong. That's
Stream East.
Stream East. W's in the chat for Stream East.
Baby.
W's.
Stream East, baby.
Real quick. I gotta make this comment though. How about that fight before Jake Paul? Though? You know what I'm saying?
That was a great fight, dude. The undercards before these main events.
Serrano got robbed.
The undercards
Katie Taylor did not deserve
the undercards of these main events are always solid because they're actual good fights.
Yeah. I want Matt Rempe to step in a boxing ring, please. Put him in the fight. Put him in the ring with Jake Paul. I wouldn't mind that.
Oh.
Or Evander Kane, who wants to be
Matt Rempe versus Evander Kane. There you go.
I mean, boxing's a gimmick now.
Matt
why not lean into
versus
it?
Jake Paul.
Boxing is wrestling now.
No,
boxing
some of it. No,
so much.
It depends on the promotion, I think, because like you see some of these other fights, like on Top Rank or what. I watch Top Rank a lot just for reference. When I have the chance, Top Rank fights. There are some really incredible fighters. There's some from New Jersey who are killing it right now. Shakur Stevenson, who I've followed for a very long time. There's some great fighters like that. and then you have whatever Jake Paul's doing with what MVP is doing. Like,
Well,
it
the
depends
thing
on
with
the
that-
promotion. I think it's partially due to the promotion and the
yeah,
Braves doing.
yeah,
I wanted
it's the
to talk about.
promotion,
I
what-
wanted to keep talking about
what
hockey, and then we talk
draws
about Jake
eyes.
Paul. What are we doing here?
Yeah, no. Listen, because it
draw-
was a bigger
draws
sporting. It was a
eyes
big sporting
to
event this weekend.
Screens. It draws eyes to screens.
I
It
mean,
does.
I mean, to be fair though, my favorite part about the whole weekend was you guys know what happened with the AT&T Stadium, right?
Oh,
How
yeah,
they
it's falling
closed,
apart.
They closed the blinds and then it's now falling apart. The stadium is falling down. Dude,
Hey,
that's a great chant, by the way. But yeah, AT&T Stadium had like a piece fall off onto the field. It was like one of the weirdest moments last night.
Oh, yeah, you didn't
Jerry
hear-
World.
And,
Jerry
anything
World.
that happens to the Cowboys just warms my soul. It just
Jerry
makes me
World.
happy.
Jerry World.
Well, unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we have
That's
for
all we
today. It
got.
is 2:00. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you
this
so much.
Absolutely chaotic podcast. But I believe there might be a show after us. The Five Hole podcast
I
usually
think.
is after us, so make sure you tune into them as well. But for Luke Dolan and Cam Woolley, I'm Robbie Basil saying so long for now. We'll see you guys possibly next week. We'll see. But once again, we are ball knowers. See you guys next week.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.